On this week's episode, we talk about assistive technology and all the tech we like to use in our daily lives.
We go through all the tech we've used from childhood to now and talk all about them, so stick around. Hello, Okay, we're going to start that one more time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rare with Flair,
the podcast where two 20-somethings with the same rare disease are living their best lives. I'm your host, Cassandra.
And I'm your host, Casey.
What's up, girl? Hey, guess what? Hey, guys, guess what?
Oh, what? What? Are you talking to me or the listeners or all of us?
All of you.
All of us. Good.
I'm so excited, as if you can't tell, because guess whose birthday is coming up? Case's birthday is coming up in the next 9 days from the time we record this.
It is. You know what's like funny is it feels like just yesterday that we were talking about my birthday on this podcast last year. It's super weird when like the years go by. Wait, when are we releasing? We're releasing this pod, okay, like only a few days before. So we will be
week
in my
of her birthday.
Week. Yes,
you will hear this episode. It will go live. And so everybody wish Case a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you muchly. I am excited. I'm going to be 29. This means we only have one more year of saying two 20-somethings with the same rare disease. It's a little sad, but I'm going to live it up. Last year, my 20s. Do you have any interesting updates for us, Cass, about your life?
Let's see. I went and saw yet another concert last night with a friend of mine, so that's why my voice is all scratchy, because I yelled a lot, and it was such a good show. So, pardon my scritchy scratch voice.
No, I like it. It sounds mature. I told her, she sent me a voice memo today, and I have a scratch voice right now, but that's my asthma acting up. She sent me a voice memo today, and I was like, your scratchy voice just proves to me you had a great time at the concert last night.
It's so good.
She's been going to so many concerts. I've been going to so many theatrical productions. So I went to one last weekend, going to one this weekend. Loving it. Yeah, like we're having a great time and living our best lives, as we say in the intro.
Oh, yes. So today, we thought it would be fun to talk about assistive technology. So I wanted to do a little technology fun fact.
Technology fun fact. That was a terrible jingle. I'm sorry, everyone.
No, I love it. In my like day job, this is my fun side project hobby thing with my BFF Case. But in my day job, I am an accessibility specialist, and I just really wanted to quickly define the difference between accessibility and assistive technology in a technology sense, right? Because accessibility can be used broadly to define anything that makes things more accessible, right? That just makes sense, makes things easier to use for anyone in general. But then in the built environment, like in buildings and outside and like in architectural sense, accessibility would include things that accommodate to people who use wheelchairs and braille signage and things like that. Accessibility can also be applied in like a digital sense. So that means making sure that developers and designers and testers that create websites and apps make them in such a way that they are accessible to people who use assistive technology. For example, totally blind people may use a screen reader to be able to navigate a web page. And what that means is like they have this like synthesized reader that will read out the things on the page, and they'll kind of move the focus from item to item, and it will read it. And if it's accessible, they'll be able to do everything they need to do and get all the information they need based on that website. And there's a lot more that goes into accessibility, but there are a lot of standards about it. It like gets a lot into like kind of my job is enforcing those standards to be super vague about it and in the interest of time. But we're going to talk today more about assistive technology. And what that is what we use as disabled people to make life more accessible to us, right? So, like, we know that this world isn't really built for us. There are a lot of things that are very difficult for us to do as, like, low vision people, but with the aid of assistive technologies, we can make things bigger, we can enlarge things, we can, see things that are far away and all kinds of stuff. So, like, we just kind of wanted to spend this time talking about how technology makes our lives easier. End of monologue.
Yes. No, that was a great monologue. I think Cass knows a lot more about this topic than I do, but I am a user of a lot of these things. And I think a lot of times on this podcast, we start off in our childhood. We were born legally blind, but back in our childhoods, there wasn't nearly as much technology available to us as there is now. So, like, we were comparing and contrasting what we used to use then versus what we use now. And it is super interesting. I think if we missed the mark, like if we had grown up going to school, now it would be so different than when I was in school. Like, we barely had anything. So do you have any tech you used to use? Like, what about childhood? Like, were you using technology in your childhood?
I grew up in, I would say, like, the early 2000s. Those were, like, most of my school-aged years. I think both of us, since we, like, Case and I are about, 5 years apart-ish. And so we didn't grow up that far apart from each other. But I think if we grew up 5 years from, like, in the other direction, it maybe would have been even more different. But as a kid, I don't think that we had any really, like, high-tech things. I would say that a lot of the assistive tech that we used was really low-tech, like magnifiers and binoculars.
Yeah. I can definitely think of my first monocular I ever had. It was kind of bulky compared to the ones now,
It was trunk.
And I know we've talked about that in our school episode before, but that was a long time ago, so just had to bring back that. But yeah, magnifying glasses. I did have a CCTV as a child, which is a closed circuit television. It was big and bulky. It looked like how the computers looked back in the 90s.
Yeah, so did I. I had the same
And now they're sleek and nice, way different than they were. But I think that, I don't know, the CCTV seems definitely more of, like, a more technological thing I used with, like, a screen and everything back then.
Well, like, let's get into that just a little bit. Like, when I used a magnifier as a kid, there were, like, different kinds. There were ones that were, like, little domes that would sit on the paper. There were ones that were handheld, and if you were fancy, it had a light.
Yes. I had all three. I had all of them. I liked the dome magnifier. I was never a huge magnifier girl. I know some people with low vision, like, really, like, just love their magnifier. They would never give it up. But for me, like, I had one and I was encouraged to use it, but I always remember it being kind of annoying to me sometimes. I was just like, get this thing out of my way. I'll do it myself, even though half the time I couldn't do it myself. But, it's just annoying. It's just annoying to me.
It's like one extra thing to have. And especially as a kid, like, I don't know. It was one more thing. Like, I remember, like, I was not nice to my magnifier, and I'd, like, throw it around. And,
I would just throw it around.
And, like,
just terrible.
I'd have to, like, have it rubber banded so that the light would still work because, like, I was just so rude to my magnifier.
Now, the monocular, however, I loved then and I still love now. I'm not saying I use it every day or even every week, but I think it was much more useful to me because my up close vision is much better than my far away vision. I'm much more nearsighted, as a lot of people with albinism are, and so, needing to see things far away, I can hold things pretty close to my face and see them, but I can't see things far away. So that's why the monocular really comes in handy then and now, for sure. If you're at the zoo or at a play or wherever you are, it's very handy.
No, I used a monocular so much. I remember times growing up where I, like, I had a hard time keeping track of my items, so I would like lose a monocular, and it was like the end of the world.
Oh, I
How
was
am
a
I
very
going to see
unorganized
things
child.
now?
Yes. No, same. Like, I lost everything. I definitely, I think I took a lot of those tools for granted. They just gave them to me. And I think I kind of resented them too. Like, you know, a lot of people might say, like, why weren't you grateful for what you had? But at that age, you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to use this. And you like throw it around and you lose it and you just don't cherish it. And that might have been me being kind of being spoiled and taking things for granted.
Same though. I think a lot of low vision kids have that experience because it really just does make you different. And it's
you're getting a lot of things thrown at you all the time.
Yeah.
Try this, because they don't know what's going to work. You know, and everybody is different and different things work for different people. And so as a kid, it's literally just like a testing game where like they don't know what's going to work for you. So it's literally just constant, try this, try that. Does that work? Do you like that better? And it's exhausting. Like as a kid, it was just like, I appreciate this stuff, but you're throwing so much at me at once. I can't even like focus on what I'm doing.
And you just like want to be a kid and play with your friends on the playground.
Exactly. I was like,
yeah. So, I mean, I still, to this day, I have a monocular. I don't use it much at all anymore. Because, and I'll get into that in a couple seconds. But we do have, as far as low-tech things go, we do have bioptics.
Yes, we do. And I actually have an update about mine. And I think you had something to say, so I can let you go first.
I was just like leading into this.
Well, so I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but I got a bioptic. I'm very excited about it. Neither of us drive. So we did, you can, low vision people, some of them can drive with bioptics. We did
a whole episode on that, by the way.
Absolutely. Go check it out. I don't even know what number. I'm losing count of our episodes now. No
Earlier
idea what
this
number.
Year.
It was maybe in the 20s or something. I don't know. But anyway, okay, so I got a bioptic, right? I'm still very stoked that I have one. They're a pricey item. They're a beautiful item to have, and I'm very grateful to have one. I kind of got it to watch theater, to go to the zoo, to watch my nephew play soccer, that kind of thing. So I took it to a theatrical production.
Oh, yeah. How'd it go?
And so here's the thing for me personally. So the other things I named, like the zoo or like watching my nephews play sports, you're kind of like looking out of it, like out of the telescope part of it every so often and then lifting your head, But what I found with a play that's like 2 hours long or more, it was kind of hurting my head to like look.
To have it dipped so much
for that long. Because I think with anything else, with driving, with the zoo, you're not dipped for like 2 hours straight like that,
Yeah.
But with a play, I was like, oh, like this is like hurting my neck to be like. So basically, if people don't understand what I'm saying, you have to kind of tilt your head down to see through the monocular or the telescope, and so.
So
it kind of hurts.
It's like carrier glasses at the bottom where if you want to look through the glasses parts, which may or may not have prescription, right? You would you lift your head up and you look through the bottom. It's kind of like intense bifocals,
They're not really made to be used with you looking out of the telescope part for a very long time though. I feel like if I were like on a bus tour like through a new city, they'd be great to like look out of and then look back through the glasses, But they're not really made to be looked through for that long. So it was not a bad experience, but it was just kind of like,
it's tough with something like theater though, because it's the catch-22. Do you want to have your neck hurt from dipping your head for 2 hours? Or do you want your arm to hurt from holding your monocular to your eye for 2 hours?
Oh yeah. And it does.
Pick your poison.
Yeah. Pick your poison. Because my arm does hurt when I hold it. And I don't know, they both hurt in different ways. It's a different kind of beautiful pain to see a play. But yeah.
Yeah. Hey, and I mean, if you could maybe get the best of all worlds if you get an audio description and then put it in one ear and then you don't hear all of it at once, right? So it doesn't talk over the actual acting, and then you'll dip your head and then lift your monocular. You do all the things.
Exactly. Or if you go to a play that you've seen a million times and you know exactly how it is, you don't really need to maybe focus as much. But what about you? Like, when do you? I know you have a bioptic too. When do you use your bioptic? Like,
I use my bioptic at like sporting events.
That's a good play. That's a perfect example of a good place to use a bioptic.
Yeah, like it, and it's hard because I feel like more and more the times that I'm using it are dwindling, and it's probably because I'm doing a lot of things at home on my computer on my own terms and on my own time. But I used to use it sometimes when I used to go in for work. Now I work from home. We would have like large group presentations, and so then I'd take my bioptic there so I could see like a little bit of the PowerPoint. To be fair, I don't think it's enough power for me to be able to read the PowerPoint. But if they're referencing a graph, I can get the general idea from being able to see it more than just like a colored square on the wall. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I don't think I could read out of it at all.
No.
But yeah, like it's helpful for certain times, but maybe not as much.
I used to use it a lot when I was a student.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
I would like wear them to class so I could see the board and then I could write things down and I wouldn't have to like, that was the difficult thing, and that's what motivated me to get it when I was in high school is when I got my bioptics. But I would have to like hold my monocular, kind of try to remember what I was going to write down, then set it down, write down my notes, and then pick it back up to check out the board. Yeah. So it was a lot of like movement. And then the bioptics made that a lot more fluid, where I could like look down through the lenses and then up through the telescope part. So that was really helpful. But like I'm taking online classes, and later on throughout my undergrad career, I ended up, and this kind of like bleeds into our next topics, is I ended up using my iPad and phone to do all of that.
Oh, we have a lot to say now that
I took pictures of the board.
Oh my gosh. We're getting into the meat of this episode right now. When we wanted to start off with the like lower tech. Now we're getting into like the
or like
high
the
tech.
Specific like low vision tools, and like
Yeah.
In this in between stage, I will say that I did once try when I was like in middle school an electronic magnifier, so you could like it was like it was a very chonky thing. And it was really heavy actually, but you would turn it on, and then you would have the option to zoom in deeper and deeper, and then you could freeze the image.
I've seen those.
Right, and it was like helpful for the time because I didn't have a smartphone, and I was in school, so it would have been hard to have a smartphone. I
have a low vision friend who finds that to be very helpful. Like hers almost. Yeah, it almost looks like a little tiny CCTV or something. Where
that's kind of what it is. Yeah.
She has that, and she loves it. She's an actor, so she reads scripts a lot, and so like that makes sense. But I've seen that on her page, and I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. But so I mean, we have the phone, the laptop, the iPad, all these things that came out. The smartphone, mind you, not just a phone, the smartphone. All these things that came out when we were, preteens, whatever, teens. Which one do we want to start with? Because I have a lot to say about like all of those things.
No joke. Okay, let's start with laptops, because I had a laptop. So I got a laptop when I was 11, and it was a MacBook, and it was through a grant through like a local organization that got like visual tools for like kids who were blind or like or visually impaired, right? So that's how I got my first MacBook, and I didn't have that much cost to use it because, at that stage in schooling, like they were still not using as much computer things, but starting in about 7th grade, I had to start writing papers, and so that was really helpful to have. But when I first got my laptop, I've always like really taken to technology really easily. And I started messing around with my computer just because it was my new toy, right? And I discovered that my computer had the capacity to zoom in on parts of the screen, and it changed my life forever. Like, if you have a Mac And I need to, I feel like I'm evangelizing about this specific
This
feature.
is important. This is, if we say anything on this podcast, this might be one of the most important things we share with you.
You guys.
I'm not kidding.
Go and try the built-in zoom on your devices. Whether you have a Windows PC or you have like a MacBook or whatever, go to your accessibility settings and turn on the zoom or the magnifier or whatever, and you're able to customize it to like your own preferences. I'm pretty sure there are tutorials on how to do that. If I can find one, I will link it in the show notes for different devices, because this is a game changer. I used to have to sit like with my face pressed to the computer, and that's how I grew up using the computer. But with this like opportunity, and what it is like, you have your whole screen, right? But with the full screen zoom, you zoom in on parts of the screen at a time, and you move your mouse, and you're like moving your mouse will move the view across the entire screen.
We have to explain to them, this is not is it Command Plus? That's also what you can, this is not that.
This is not just making the font bigger on your web browser.
Yes, because I thought it was, y'all.
This is making your entire screen larger in different segments. And like, sometimes you can't make the font larger on certain applications. You can make it large on anything you want.
On anything you want.
Your entire screen.
I have to tell my story of this because growing up, I was a PC gal. My family had PC computers. I got a Mac when I went to college my freshman year. So this was 10 years ago, mind you. And I used a Mac that entire time without knowing about the built-in zoom. I only zoomed in. I only made the font bigger on my browser. And I never knew that there was a built-in zoom. And that might sound crazy. People might say, how are you low vision and you never heard of this? Nobody ever talked about it. And this is coming from someone who is very involved in the low vision community. I'm on every group online. I'm on everything. People talk about Zoom Text, which is a software you pay for, but people do not talk about the literal built-in zoom that comes for free with your Mac and with PC too. Like, I literally, so Cassandra told me about it. Like, when was it? Like 2020, I guess, last year.
You told me about last year. Yeah.
It had to have been, I guess, like the summer or fall of last year. And she was like, "Have you not been using this?" And it changed my life. And I'm not even like being dramatic. I'm not speaking in hyperbole.
No.
It changed my life to the point where like I don't have the same back pain. I used to like hunch over like a turtle over my laptop, and this I sit up straight in my chair, you guys. Like, I'm not kidding. Changed my life. So thank you.
Yeah, you guys, I can see my computer screen from the chair because I can make my screen as large as I want, so I don't have to put my face on it. And like, I want to scream this from the mountaintops because I think that like Casey's story is not an isolated experience, though. I've talked to a lot of low vision people who have never known that they can do this. And like,
it's like we have to tell everyone.
People will like have their face like right up against like the webcam like while they're doing a Zoom meeting, when in reality they could be zooming in from their chair.
Literally, I zoom in it lets you zoom in so far that like one singular letter. If you're reading a word, like I'm reading my name, Casey, you could like zoom in on just the C of Casey. It's like that. It's that far. Like it goes far.
Yes, and like it's absolutely like, because I could never have pursued a field that was so dependent on using a computer if I did not have a tool that allowed me to use that without so much eye fatigue.
Yes, and luckily I was not using a computer a whole lot before last year, and all of a sudden I'm on the computer all day now. So like Cass told me in the nick of time, or I would not be making it right now. Like, I would just not make it. I would just die at night, like in my bed, you know, like crying every night. So very grateful.
Like, Windows also has a magnifier. It used to not be very good, but recently I have discovered that the Windows built-in magnifier is pretty good now. And again, it is free. I've used to be a supporter of Zoom text, and it just over recent years I've realized that it's not like the best application. I'm sorry, Zoom text. But
we're never getting sponsored by Zoom
we're
text
never
now.
getting sponsored
Thanks
by Zoom
a lot,
text.
Cass.
I'm sorry. It's just it's hard because Zoom text has been around for such a long time, since I remember that I was using a computer like when I was taking like typing classes in 6th grade. But Zoom text has not really been improved that much over the years. And my biggest frustration with it is that if you leave it open too long, it will crash your computer and you'll have to restart it constantly. And it's really like an application that allows you to be able to function with the computer, period, like shouldn't be that unstable. So like, and it's frustrating because you're paying for that too, by the way. Like you're paying a lot of money for a license to use Zoom text. So I would highly recommend checking out the Windows magnifier if you haven't already. If you're a Zoom text user and you're like, what are you talking about, Cass? Like, I don't have that issue. No judgment. Feel free to keep using Zoom text. I'm just like talking about my own experience with it and how I've been frustrated and how honestly Windows Mag is good now.
Oh yeah, no, literally I hear about Zoom text so often that I know a lot of people love it, and I've never even used it, so no judgment from me either. Just our personal experiences and stories, you know. But I think that would lead us to the iPad. Because here's the dealio, everybody. Dinosaur me, the iPad did not, and I know there are a lot of people listening that are even older than me, I'm sure, but the iPad did not come out until I was in college. And by that point, you know, I just feel like nowadays, in Cass, I mean, you were pretty old too when it came out. I feel like nowadays kids in school, grade school, are like really relying on the iPad, and not just low vision kids, like all kids. It's pretty amazing. I mean, can you imagine what our lives would have been like? But anyway, I love my iPad. I think Cass gives me a run for my money because I think you love it even more than I do.
I'm obsessed with my iPad.
I'll quickly talk about what I use my iPad for. I think you use it significantly more than I do. But this is the interesting thing that I use my iPad for. My iPad is my TV. Point blank, plain and simple. I have a TV like in my house. I never use it unless a friend is over, because why would I don't know. I'm just like, if a friend's over and we want to watch a movie together, I'm not going to force my friend to sit around my iPad with me. But when I'm watching YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, I have all the streaming, Disney Plus, whatever it is, I use my iPad. I have a stand. It's the best thing I ever bought. Got it on Amazon. Gotta say that it's great. I have a stand, so I sit on the couch and it's my TV, and the best part about it is I can bring it right up to my face. No judgment. Nobody's around. As a kid, it was a constant struggle of me having to sit on the floor. My back hurt. I was never able. You're never able to sit on the couch and watch TV ever. No. You're not able to lay in your bed and watch TV ever. Ever since I got an iPad, I watch TV in my bed on my iPad. You know, like, I think that's a luxury people don't think about, is laying in bed and watching TV.
Yes.
We've never gotten to do it. So my iPad, I'm telling you, it's the best thing, because if I can put it up close to my face, I can see my TV, and that's the only way I can see the TV. So, and that's primarily what I use it for. I don't super use it for other things, but I know Cass definitely does, so I'll let you have your moment with your iPad.
And speaking of TV, though, I remember, like, growing up, I had this, like, blue plastic chair I would pull up, and that was, like, my TV chair, so that, like, that was the way that I could watch the TV. But, so I ended up, so I got my iPad when I was a freshman in high school, and again, it was the same kind of thing like that laptop. Is like, I got it through this grant through, like, an organization for the blind, but, it was, like, already extremely helpful. Like, I use it I'll use it to browse the internet, just because I feel like I'm able to see so much more, than on my phone, but I don't have to, like, take out my entire computer, because I feel like I take, these days, I use my computer if I have to, like, get something really, like, work done.
Sure.
or like a side project done or something like that. But if I want to shop online, or if I want to like look at an Instagram story, which is really hard for me to see on my phone.
The difference of Instagram on the iPad compared to the phone is monumental.
Yeah, it's so big. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I can finally
amazing.
actually see the Instagram stories, and I don't usually check them that often. So, like, if I'm checking them, it's probably on my iPad.
Yeah.
So, like, I can do all of those things. I used it, like, to death in school. I'm on my third or fourth iPad in my life, just because like I've continued to upgrade them throughout the years, because it really is my most used tool. I use my iPad for recipes when I'm in the kitchen.
Sure.
I use it and I'll talk about my favorite note-taking app, but I used it to take notes in undergrad. I use it to fill out forms, send emails. Like I really live off my iPad, and it's really sad that like during the heat of the pandemic, I was like in between just hanging out with my parents and living in my apartment at the time, because I don't want to just spend lockdown alone. So one time going in between, I left my iPad at my parents' house, and I was going to be at my house for a week, and I was like, oh no. Well, it's okay. I have a phone. It's fine. But then, like, day 2 of not having my iPad, I, like, call my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I just realized how little I can see, because I'm so used to using my iPad for everything, including TV, just like Casey said.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's, we're even using it right now to do this podcast. So,
yes.
FaceTiming. So, like, yeah, it's huge. And the iPad and the iPhone also have a zoom, but you use it with 3 fingers. You get your 3 fingers and you tap twice. And I'm so used to doing it. So yeah, that's what I was about to say. I'm so used to doing it.
No. Yeah, wait, you tap twice. You're so right. I'm so wrong.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. We're so used to doing it on autopilot that we don't even know how to explain how to do these things.
Yeah, it's 3 fingers 2 times.
3 fingers 2 times. You had the 3 right. It was just in the wrong spot.
Yeah. Yes.
3 fingers 2 times, and you can zoom in. So there are some people who don't know about that feature either. I actually did know about that one. Cass didn't tell me that one. I knew that one, but there's some
I couldn't use my phone without that.
I will say it makes me want to pull my hair out sometimes, because sometimes mine gets frozen, and when it gets frozen on Zoom, you cannot slide your phone to turn it off. So you like can't turn it off. And then one time mine called 911, and the operator, I literally had to tell the 911 operator, like, I'm blind and my phone's stuck on Zoom. So I don't know. I don't know how often they hear that, but it's a good tool though. I've learned that don't do it on a YouTube video. That's when it gets frozen for me, is on YouTube.
Yeah.
Don't do it on that.
Yeah.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it. Just telling you.
Hot tips. I don't think I could use my phone or iPad without the 3-finger double tap, the zoom. And like that, I think, is probably maybe a little easier for some people to find than the one on your computer. But regardless, please check it out. Try and play with it. Like, it will, I hope, change your life. Maybe hopefully like it has changed ours.
Yes.
And there are a lot of other like settings that you can, sorry I cut you off, but there are a lot of other settings you can.
No, that's exactly, you're literally going in the exact direction I was about to go in. So there you go.
You guys were in sync. There are a lot of other
we're so in sync.
Settings that you can change to make your phone easier to see. You can, under like accessibility, there's a lot of options. It's fun and worth playing with, but you can make your.
Well, I was gonna say it has voiceover too.
That's
like,
true.
You know,
yeah,
for
that's
totally
true.
blind.
I use voiceover sometimes.
We're mainly talking for people that have some usable vision left.
But like you can make the font big on your phone in the accessibility settings. Like you can, increase the contrast if that is difficult. Like some of the transparency effects are hard for you to see. Like you can, there's so much that you can do with your phone. You can like invert the colors. You can put it on dark mode so you get white on black. I said that right. Yeah. If the black on white, I was just thinking about it. If the black on white isn't good for your eyes, just there's lots of options, and like, please check them out.
Sorry, I totally cut you off there, and I feel like I have to do a disclaimer that when you're on your iPad, you guys, it's so hard to not interrupt than if we were in person together. Because, like, I'm always thinking you're, like, done with a sentence or my connection goes bad, and then I feel like it's like the fact that we don't interrupt each other more is quite honestly miraculous because it's hard. It's really hard when you're not in the same room. Like, but anyway, I digress. I'm sorry I interrupted you during that spiel.
No, I think I also cut you off. So I think
it's fine. But anyway, my favorite thing that my iPhone does is simple. It's not even an app. I had to download it. It came with the phone. It is the freaking camera and the zoom on the freaking camera. Listen, guys, I use it all the time. I have a freezer meal I want to put in the microwave. I can't read that ish. So what I do, I flip over the box, I take out my phone, I put the camera on, and I zoom in as far as I need to, and I read the instructions. Or if you're, at somewhere like I was just at a friend's house we were playing a game on his TV. I took my iPhone, I zoomed in. Like, you can do this for up close or far away, Yeah.
It's my binocular and my magnifier.
Yeah. And I could read the TV. I think, like, I'm obsessed with it because it's not even like an app you have to download. It's literally the camera on your phone and the zoom is it's a thing we, like, for those of us that have smartphones, it's a thing we, like, always have in our back pocket. Yeah. And I think low vision people who grew up in a different time, or even us back in our childhoods, we didn't have something as convenient as, like, something we always had with us. It's like if you didn't have your telescope, or not telescope, what am I trying to say? Your magnifier. If you didn't have that, you were like screwed,
Right,
but
exactly.
It almost works as a magnifier and a binocular because it does far away, but also like medicine bottles. It's like up close.
And like
it's incredible.
I will say, if you're an Apple user, if you've got an iPad or an iPhone, which I definitely make use of Apple products for, like, my daily life. If you go into your settings and then under Control Center, there's you can add something to your to that little thing that swipes down where you can, like, turn on the flashlight. And it's a magnifier button, and I think sometimes it works better than the camera itself because I think the camera's also, like, trying to adjust to take photos. But the magnifier is, like, I don't know, I think the settings are slightly adjusted, and you can turn on the flashlight, so you can use, like, magnifier with flashlight. You can freeze the image, and then you can zoom in, and you can even save the image to your, like, camera roll. So, like, lots you can do with your phone as a magnifier and a binocular. And, like, if I can get away with it, I don't carry those things anymore because I mostly am going to use my phone anyway. It's so much more. Yes. I don't want to carry another thing.
No, we don't. We want to have it. Even, like, weighing myself, if I'm standing on the scale, I use my phone.
Yes, I take a picture of it.
Like, my grandma had macular degeneration, and she was very blind later in her life. And she had, like, a talking scale, And obviously for, like, completely blind people, that's still a great tool. And it would even be a good tool for me. But it's like, why add, like, in my mind, I'm like, why buy all this other stuff and add on when literally I can use my phone for, like, all of it,
And the problem is that the market for assistive technologies is really limited. There aren't, like, there are a lot of blind people, but there aren't, like, that many blind people, right? And so the prices are always so hiked up. And I get it, they gotta make money, but, like, if I can get a similar result by using my phone and not have to pay, like, hundreds of dollars for a specialized tool, then I'm just gonna use my phone.
Yeah, no, exactly. These things are expensive. And do you have anything else to say about the phone before we move on? Because I have something I need to say, but I don't want to skip over the phone if you do more with your phone. Like, we'll talk about apps in a minute.
Sure. But yeah, I feel like I do a lot of similar things with my phone than with my iPad, so I think we're good.
Before we get on to apps, because we are going to give some app recommendations, I have to, like, have a minute on my soapbox about the Kindle.
Yes.
Okay, listen. I know Amazon is the big monster company, and I'm sorry, but I can't deny that the Kindle has also changed my life. Like, for real, changed my life. I love to read. It's one of my favorite things. When I was in high school, I attempted to read physical books, and it was painful, not only for my eyes, but for my arms. I was holding up these huge novels right up to my nose. It was a nightmare. And the Kindle came out, and one of my low vision friends was like, you got to get this. And I was like a purist. I was like, no, it's got to be a book. Can't do this. And then I started reading books too on my like iPhone or my iPad. And it still kind of was hurting my eyes. Anyway, long story short, I finally got the Kindle. And this isn't like you are with the Zoom on the Mac. This is something I will shout from the mountaintops. The Kindle, a lot of people, when I say how much I love Kindle, they're like, oh, I read on my iPad on the Kindle app. Mm-hmm. And I will say, like, that's great. If you like that and that helps you, that's great. But the Kindle is different. I keep calling it the Kindle. I don't know if it's just Kindle or the Kindle. I don't know. I don't want to sound like an old lady. But anyway, Kindle is different because it uses a technology called e-ink. And if you've never seen one in person, I really recommend maybe trying to go to a store that sells them in person so you can look at it before you buy it. But it looks like a real page. Like, it looks like a book page. Yeah, it doesn't really have that like harsh blue light that hurts, because I'm on my laptop all day. The last thing I need is to be on my laptop all day and then go read a book on my iPad. Like, that's like gonna hurt my eyes. So it's a rest on my eyes. You can make the font literally ginormous. So if you do have enough usable vision to read big font, you can make the font huge. Not only that, it is so lightweight. It is like the weight of a pencil. It is so lightweight. I have the Kindle Oasis, which is like one of the nicer versions of the Kindle. I splurged. It has buttons on the side, and I really like the buttons on the side, so you don't have to like reach over and click every time you want to turn the page. You just click the button and you don't have to move your hand. Yeah, that's me being like really like lazy to not want to move my hand every time I turn the page. But I'm obsessed. It changed my entire life. I think I would not be reading if it weren't for the Kindle. I could do audiobooks, but that's about it, because it's too hard to read a physical book, and I had to let that dream die. So anyway, that's my spiel.
No, I think that's worth talking about just for a little bit, because as a kid, I forced myself to read like physical books too. And, what did I know? I now I feel like maybe I'm older. I have less tolerance. I just like, I would,
Oh, it sounds torturous.
Oh, it's so hard. And like, I love receiving books as a gift because I like what it means, what it symbolizes. But it's also like slightly disappointing and deflating, because it's like, oh no, I gotta go through so much effort to be able to read this now because it's a physical book.
Yes, receiving a book as a gift, that's actually the one thing I don't like about the Kindle, because I had a friend, like one of my best friends was like, I really want to get you this specific book for your birthday, but like I know you only use Kindle. And like, that is sad. You can't really buy people. I mean, I guess you could give them the money and be like, buy this book, but that's weird. That's not like special. That's weird.
I know. But
I don't know.
I read on my iPad, and I think if I read as much as Case does, that I would definitely invest in the Kindle. I am okay by inverting the colors and having like white on black, and that's enough to help me. And again, I don't read as much as you do, so like if I did, it would be worthwhile. But if you read a lot and you have low vision, the Kindle is the way to go, because it really does look like paper. It's bonkers.
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, it is an extra cost. So if you already have an iPad sitting at your house, why would you pay that extra cost? If you're just going to read like not as often, like then that totally makes sense to like use your iPad if you already have an iPad. I'm not telling you to go spend all this extra money. I'm just saying,
no, of course. But if it's worth it to you,
it might be
worthwhile.
You might, all I say is like, you might want to go try to like look at one in person. If your friend has one or whatever, try to look at it and just see before you buy it, and then you can see. But I think it is like my favorite thing I own, pretty much.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, apps. Let's talk about apps.
Let's talk about apps. I think you'll have more recommendations for apps than I do. So if you want to go ahead and list some apps that you like for...
Okay, I'm going to get on my soapbox and
here we
talk
go.
about my favorite note-taking app. It is so much more than a note-taking app. Okay, so it's called Notability. And when I bought it, it was $5, and now it's $10. However, I bought Notability in like 2013 or something. And I have used it ever since then. And for so many things. First of all, Notability is, you can take notes by like using your finger or a stylus or an Apple Pencil or whatever it is that you want to write with on your iPad, right? You can write with your handwriting. You can change the colors. You can change the backgrounds. Woohoo. You can type notes. Great. That's all well and good. But what makes it worth the money is the ability to import PDFs.
Oh.
It is everything. I would not have gotten through college without Notability. That's how I did all my homework. I would import a PDF into Notability, and then I would write on it with my thing, and then I would export it as a PDF and then like submit it in the Dropbox online. It was incredible. I use it like to this day to fill out forms. People will send me a form and I don't own a printer. This isn't even a vision thing. I don't own a printer. Right. And I'm not going to go and print it somewhere to sign it and then have to scan it again. Who wants to do that? You can like take a file that someone emailed you, open it in Notability.
Oh my gosh.
And then sign on it and then export it as a PDF and send it back, all without having to touch a friggin' printer.
That's okay. I've never heard of this app, I'm going to be honest. But that is something that I would find very useful because I can't stand
that alone is worth $10.
That alone is absolutely worth it. But especially for school, I can see how that would have been really helpful with like note taking and stuff like that.
Like you can import photos into your Notability notes. So sometimes when I was lazy in class, I would be taking notes and then I'd get bored halfway through and then I'd take a picture of the board and I'd import it into the rest of my notes so I didn't have to finish writing. Like the uses are absolutely endless. You can highlight things. And like right now I'm on my church's worship team, right? So I'll import the PDFs of the songs of worship and then you can just like zoom in without using the three fingers. Like you can just zoom in on the note and you can go pretty far. So like the way that I'm able to sing worship at church is like I have my iPad on a music stand and then I like move my finger back and forth on the paper and I'm able to make it as big as I need to be able to see it standing up. You guys, Notability has changed my entire life.
Oh my God. That sounds amazing. See, I love how passionate we're getting. We genuinely like... When we say these things have changed our life, like, we're not trying to be funny. Like,
no,
we literally are getting passionate because these things actually changed our life. And we realize how blessed we are to have grown up in this time of technology. And, like, it's just getting better and better. The kids these days, if you're a parent listening, you should feel pretty reassured that your kid is going to have, like, a better experience in school than we did. Because, technology is so important in schooling. But it's also important in the adult work world, too, for sure. So, like, I'm still grateful for it. I would not get through my day visually. Like, it makes us feel less blind to be able to use this kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I don't know how I'd do it without it. No,
our work life, our social life, our living at home alone life, like, is so impacted by this. So I actually, like, don't use that many apps, if I'm being honest. I just don't have that many apps, period, on my phone. Like, I literally have, like, a page and a half of apps, period. I remember, though, when I lived in New York, I had a few really good, like, map-type apps that were really helpful. There was one called Blind Square that was cool, and it, this has been a few years ago. I don't know if all of these are still around or if they've gotten better updates or whatever, but there were a few different apps like that would help me, like, when I was going down the street to be like, what building am I standing in front of? And it would tell you. There's also Be My Eyes, which I think I have, and I like that one a lot. That one is super popular in the blind the blind community. That one is super popular. There's also one, do you remember what that one is called, where like you can literally call and talk to a real person in real time and ask them?
Yeah, so that's a whole like subscription service. Like that one's like,
okay.
Yeah, so
I've never used that, but it's like
it's called Ira.
And you can say like, what street am I on? And
so
them.
you have to pay for, like, one, you have to get the glass and everything. Like it's like you wear some sort of like glass with like a camera mounted on it. So then you have to also pay for like talking minutes. So then with your talking minutes, you can call someone who works for this company, and then they will like be a real actual person that will help guide you or describe things around you or what have you. I've thought about it, and like I've thought it could be like useful in certain situations, like for my life, you know, watching something, like watching a sport event or watching like a play, and it's like basically like audio description wherever you go, which sounds kind of amazing.
I thought there was one where they did it though just through your iPhone camera, where you can be like, what color is this shirt I'm wearing? And they'll tell you.
I think that's Be My Eyes.
Is it? Okay, maybe
Be My Eyes is free, and like you can sign up as like either like if like blind or low vision, you can sign up as like one of us, but otherwise then you could even volunteer to help blind people.
That's what I'm thinking of.
You'll take pictures of something and you're like, hey, what are the instructions on my frozen meal? And then someone will reply to you really quickly and they'll tell you exactly what it says. Or you can even like take a picture and be like, is my lipstick smudged? Or, you know, things like that. Or what color is this sock?
And there's even like a robotic feature, like a AI feature that's not even like a real person, where like you take a picture of yourself and it says like a 28-year-old female with blonde hair.
That's
looking
a different
app,
maybe?
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I'm mixing it up, guys.
No, you're good.
I'm the worst. They all run together.
They're similar.
Is that seeing AI? That's what it is. Seeing AI. So sorry,
seeing
guys.
AI is like Be My Eyes, but without a person. So you can like hold your phone over like a menu or a check, and it'll read it out loud to you, and then you can point it at people, and it will tell you kind of
very
what they
impressive.
Look
like they literally got my age exactly correct, and not even real people can do that. Like they were like 28-year-old female with blonde hair. Like I was like, what? It was amazing.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's wild. So that one is Seeing AI. I like that one too. Do you have any more apps you like?
I do use Instacart a lot. I know we just talked about that in our last episode, but you know, that isn't necessarily like a magnifier or of sorts. It is just like grocery delivery, but like, y'all, grocery delivery when you can't drive. Man.
Yes. Also Uber and Lyft.
Oh yeah, Uber and Lyft.
Yeah,
I've had
that's
my
all I
issues
had to say.
with Instacart. Sometimes people are difficult. However, it also does beat going to the store and trying to read all the individual labels on the spice jars, because I just did that like a couple weeks ago and my eyes were like screaming.
Sure, yeah. And then I also, we both have a Ring doorbell. Like obviously I think this goes without saying that we're not sponsored. We're not being told to say any of this.
No.
And all these things have their pros and cons, but I do enjoy my Ring doorbell because it is easier to see who's there than if you were trying to look out of the freaking peephole that clearly...
I don't even have a peephole.
I do, and it doesn't help, so don't feel left out, because it does not help a blind person to look through a peephole. I mean, I can barely really see the person that good on the camera, but at least it's a clearer image than it would be if I was trying to look with my naked eye, you know?
Absolutely.
And so that's good for safety and things like that. And that's technically an app as well. So there you go.
Yeah. Oh, and the last thing I was going to say was, you did mention the Kindle, but you guys, we've mentioned it before and we're going to mention it again. You can go on Libby.
Libby, my favorite library app. Your local library, you get a library card. You have to go to your library and get a card. It's a pain in the butt to like go all the way there, because my library card just expired and now my Libby app is not working and they're telling me I have to go back to the library and I still have yet to do it. So I haven't had my Libby app for a few weeks. It's been very sad.
They're asking someone who like can't
drive
to
come to the library. But all right, I understand, whatever. But it's an incredible service. You can get audiobooks and ebooks to your Kindle or your e-reader of any kind. And it's pretty great for free with a library card. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty great. Obviously, you don't get them to keep. You're renting them just like you would a library book, and you have to give them back. But they let you rent them for a pretty long time. I've never had an issue with not having it long enough or anything. So, yes, love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we have...
Hey, well, again, what are you into lately?
We didn't plan this.
It's not a game. It's not a game.
It's not a game. I was going to say a game, and then I was like, oh, she's not saying
and then I was going to say, what are we into lately? But then I thought you were saying game, so then I started saying game. We're trying, guys. We're trying to be in sync.
What are we into lately?
Lately. Da-da-da. Oh, my gosh. What are we into lately, Cass? I have a few things. Do you have some things you're into lately?
I think that we should talk about baking because I think we've both done a good amount of baking lately, and it's been really fun.
We did talk a little bit about it in our intro to I think maybe our last episode, but we haven't spoken since Halloween on this podcast.
Goodness.
And I made some green witch's fingers. I baked these cookies. They were green with little pistachio fingernails and jam it was bloody jam, and it was really fun. It was just a fun Halloween thing to do. But Cass got me on the baking train, and I'm definitely gonna bake cookies for Thanksgiving this year.
Very excited.
I'm going to attempt a vegan version of a cookie because my nephew can't have dairy. And then I'm also going to bake some Christmas cookies for my friends in December.
Yay!
I really want to make the ones with the red and green M&Ms, you know?
Yes, those are so cute.
So cute. What have you've done some baking lately too. I'll let you tell them what you've done because it was amazing, guys. It was amazing. Cass is a pastry chef.
I'm not, and I definitely cried about it because I was also stressed about other things. So it all just culminated in my stress baking. But I made a cranberry curd tart. So I made my own pie crust, but that's why I was frustrated is because I messed up the pie crust sort of, but it still turned out good. It tasted good. The texture was not exactly what I'd expect, but it worked out because people could eat it as a handheld treat and it didn't fall apart. But it was a cranberry curd, which I made with the cranberries that I got at the store. And I made some candied orange slices and topped my tart with them. And everything looks pretty with rosemary because rosemary is cute and spiky. So I put some rosemary on top. I was very proud of how it looked at the end, even though I was stressed about it.
You guys, it sounds fancy, just the name of it, and it looked as fancy as it sounds. It looked, I'm not trying to, be, nice. I'm genuinely saying it looked like it was out of a home living magazine.
Thank you, wow.
Beautiful. The presentation of it blew me away. I mean, just, all the work that must have gone into it. It was so beautiful. If you do end up, putting a pic in the show notes, I wouldn't complain. I'm just saying.
I might. Hey, you guys, you gotta check out the show notes.
I'll give you my witch's finger cookies.
Please do. Put them in the show notes.
Oh my gosh, they're silly looking, but they were funny for Halloween.
That's perfect for Halloween.
Definitely.
And I also did make the pumpkin cookies that Casey made. And they turned out as good as they always do. I'm hoping to
Do you have any other holiday bakes coming up that we need to know about?
I was just thinking that I wanted to make my chai spice cookies around Thanksgiving.
Oh, that sounds so lovely. I wish you could send me some just through the screen.
Through the screen. Here are cookies.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. They taste so good.
Yum. I haven't even made them.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see.
I'll have to send you the recipe.
Send a picture. Send me the recipe.
You can try it.
Do it.
I used to make them the Hershey's Kiss thumbprint cookies with these pumpkin spice Hershey Kisses, but they don't exist anymore.
Do they not? Because I remember those kisses. Do they not? Oh my gosh.
I can't find them anywhere, not even on Amazon.
Would they be good with a chocolate kiss or not?
I don't know. I was thinking about that earlier today.
They might.
Chai and chocolate.
Chai and chocolate seem to go good together in my brain. I don't know.
Cinnamon and chocolate? I don't know. It's like, it's good.
Sounds good to me. I mean, chocolate with I would eat chocolate with ketchup, though, to be fair. So maybe I'm not the best person to ask because I'm a chocoholic, but
yeah, we have been doing lots of baking.
Lots of baking. I'm excited. It's a new door that's open for me just this, last month, really. And I only just got into cooking early this year. So it's been an exciting thing. And Cass is helping me through it and encouraging me because, trust me, I messed up the first time. And Cass encouraged me through my mess up. And it's gotten better now. I understand better now. I also got a hand mixer that I'm borrowing from my mom. Not one of my own yet. But and that changed the game because my arm is super weak. Weak.
I mean, hand mixer though, it just helps so much.
Hand mixer changed. It was not as chunky
it's
anymore.
It's an even mix of your batter.
It's an even mix, man. It's an even mix. So that was good. But anyway,
that's our episode.
That's our ep, and thank you so much for listening. We will see you again in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.